Okay, welcome again. It's been a beautiful day for FRYfest, and as you can see, it's unbelievable crowds, and thank you all for coming once again. I was saying earlier to these fine people on the stage, I've worked, I am not admitting my age, but I've worked with 4 athletic directors, and Ben is the 9th Iowa basketball coach I've worked with. So anyway, I started real young, so that's how it goes. It's my pleasure right now, and they're going to take it from this right after I introduce them, but our athletic director, Beth Goetz, and our new men's basketball coach, Ben McCollum, and let's give them all a good welcome here to FRYfest. And they're going to just take it from here and have a wonderful day. And welcome, Ben, to Iowa City. Once a Hawkeye, always a Hawkeye. Don't forget that. You're going to be here a long time.
All right, who's fired up and ready for some Hawkeye sports? Kicking off tomorrow, obviously cannot wait to be in Kinnick. But I'm just thrilled to be sitting here next to our new head coach, Ben McCollum, and we're going to chat just a little bit today about what his experience has been like, maybe some other fun facts along the way. We passed the first test, we decided, because we both sat in the correct place, so just in case anybody's confused about where we are. But it's been about, 5 months now? And tell us what that's been like and how you've settled in as an official Iowa Hawkeye. We know you've always been one, by the way, but
yes, absolutely. You know, it feels like it's been about 5 years. Had a lot of work, obviously, coming in to recruit an entire team, but you know, just being familiar with the state of Iowa and Iowa City and the University of Iowa. That's helped, and obviously the people of the state of Iowa have been extremely welcoming to myself, to my wife, to my entire family. Anytime you see anybody out, it's just like, hey, welcome to Iowa, and it's like, man, this place is special, and so it's been great. It's been fun. However many months, it still was like, I guess sometimes it feels like yesterday, and sometimes it feels like 5 years ago, with the amount of work that Beth had called, and then I called her at like 6:30 a.m. and committed to the University of Iowa.
he made that sound really simple, so since you brought it up, there were a few sleepless nights as we were waiting for him to, I don't know if I was waiting for you to keep winning or to really get the chance to go in, but let's just jump back to that for a minute. Let's talk a little bit about what that was like for you when this opportunity became available. I mean, what you obviously did at Northwest, the success you had in such a short time at Drake, and then all of a sudden you've got the University of Iowa saying, hey, we want you to be leading our program and be next in line.
Yeah, you know, we had won quite a few games at Drake, and so you kind of knew somebody was essentially coming for you at some point. And initially, we didn't want to move again, you know, just because you move your whole family after being there for 15 years. And, you know, obviously the perfect opportunity came about. And I met with Beth and her team. It would have been in Des Moines probably a week prior to our NCAA tournament games. And just meeting them, not only the University of Iowa, but meeting them and wanting to work for somebody like Beth and her whole team really essentially sealed the deal. I didn't commit at that point because I wanted to make her lose a lot of sleep, worry a ton, and you know, just
getting off on the right foot here.
I had to make her feel like it was going to be when she was my boss, you know. And so, but then, you know, I knew that University of Iowa was the spot that could make us move again, essentially, and we are very happy to be here. It's even better than expected. Even more welcoming than expected, and you know, hopefully we put a good product out there for you guys to come and watch.
You know, we're walking in here, and this is like any experience we've had with him, and it's just what we experience with all our teams, lines, and everybody wants an autograph and a picture. But talk about what that fan base, even in your short time, means to you, and how they help you with your program, and how they're going to help you build what you have in mind for the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, you know, it kind of goes back to why I started coaching basketball. I think it's kind of old school, I guess. We wanted to make a difference on kids' lives, and also the community that we're in, the state that we're in, and any region that we can be in, because of how our kids play, how they interact, the love that they have for each other, how they serve each other, and just be an example for that community and kind of bring joy. Coming to Iowa and the amount of support and the amount of fans, I think the biggest part of that is making boys into men, essentially, and coming out and supporting them and being a part of their lives, so that when they go out into the community and out to wherever they're going to be, they can be, make that community a little bit better. Also coming to games, we played the fight song, and I was sitting down, and Beth's like, well, it's the fight song, we need to stand up. And I think half of us stood, but when it comes to the games, I'm going to turn around and yell at everybody in the crowd to make sure they are standing anytime something good happens. So we're going to need that as well. Standing, yelling, making sure to talk to officials if you need to. A few have offered advice during the game if we're not scoring enough or we're not defending. So if you want to do that, send it to Beth if you would like. I'm sure you can find her email somewhere. But other than that, no, just interact with our kids, interact with our players, and make them feel welcome and help raise them into men that can help other communities.
I think that sounded like complaints and compliments. That's what these should say from now on, right? Is that what you're getting at? So what's the scouting report on Ben McCollum? And I've heard this from so many people in the industry, just as we were going through this process, and the amount of background calls you have, and really a lot of unsolicited calls I've gotten since then, to talk about, one, his knowledge for the game, and how he goes about it, but most importantly, the impact that he has on young men. But when somebody's going to look at what a Ben McCollum team is going to look like, both on and off the court, what are 2 or 3 things that are going to encompass that?
Yeah, I would say 2 things, and I've always tried to have our program be great at just a couple things. I think a lot of programs will try to be good at 15 different things, and they end up being average at 15 and not great at any. And so we try to be great at just a couple things. And for us, I'm naturally very, very high energy, so our teams should mirror that. And so I'm a big rah-rah guy. I'll get in a defensive stance in the middle of the game. I'll try to enter the game on occasion. And so hopefully our teams play with that same type of energy and intensity that we coach with as a group. The other thing is just a toughness. And I think some people confuse toughness for, being in a fist fight or something like that. I think toughness for us is, being able to handle your emotions in a game and still be able to serve your teammates. And so our team, they'll play with emotion. I'll probably show more emotion than they do. But from a toughness standpoint, they'll be able to handle adversity, and most importantly, they'll be able to handle success. And so hopefully those two things will be great at, not just good at, great at. And you'll see that with the kids that we recruit and how we coach them.
Well, let's talk about the kids you did recruit. A few you brought with you, and we've got a few new faces to the program and new faces to you. What is that roster going to look like?
Yeah, just to name a few. So our rosters will generally look like this. We try to find length that can shoot. And so what that means is 6'8", 6'9", we have a 6'11" as well, 6'10", that can shoot, post, and pass. And so we try to get very versatile, long defenders so that it eats up space on the floor defensively, and then offensively we're very difficult to match up with. With that, then we try to get 1, 2, 3 point guards that can really play off of what we call ball screens, or can play off of screens that can play make to get those guys shots. So the length helps you defensively, and then the point guards themselves help play make and kick out for shots for the length that can shoot. So specific to this team, we have an elite point guard, Bennett Sturtz, one of the best in the country. He's probably a better human being than he is a player as well. Can shoot, can pass, can defend, elite leader, 6'4", long, very good Big Ten player, hopefully someday very good NBA player. And then after that, we've got a list of a bunch of 6'8" guys, 6'9" guys, 6'10" guys that can shoot. Highlighted, we signed a kid from Robert Morris, a transfer Alvaro. Trey Thompson, we just recently signed. Tavion Banks came with us. Cam Manyao. A lot of length that can shoot. Trevin Urak, and to name just a few. So we're excited about all of them. But specifically, obviously, Bennett Sturtz is kind of the one that highlights a lot of those things and gets us going offensively and sometimes defensively as well.
So you've been able to practice a little bit. Obviously, didn't have the full team together this summer. You had some still playing, a couple that had to come late. But what have you been excited about from the group that you've seen as you start to implement your system? And I also, if you can talk a little bit about the way you like to help them learn, because I do think it's unique. You really let them sort of lean into it and teach it at opportune moments.
Yeah, so this summer's been great. I mean, we've got great kids. Their energy has been fantastic. Their enthusiasm to learn, their joy of being at the University of Iowa. They're excited for their first home football game. They're fired up. So they've been great. As far as the learning process goes, I've always been a big believer in allowing people to find solutions for themselves, especially to start. So as we go through the summer, a lot of what we do is just playing 5-on-5 and allowing, we teach them, minor concepts and let them play inside of those concepts. But we want them to find solutions so that when the season comes and things don't go the way they expect, they're able to make decisions for themselves. So often, this is probably more philosophical from a society perspective, kids, we almost give them the answers to the test way too soon. And they're not allowed to learn for themselves. We want them to learn for themselves. So right now it's a little bit messy. We're starting to teach more and more and more and more. So it's starting to clean itself up. But my job as a coach, and I always say this, my job as a parent, is to work my way out of a job by the end of the season, so that those kids are making decisions for themselves at the end of the season, so we're difficult to scout. And it's just, we always say you're only as good as the players you coach, and so you got to put them in position to be successful.
Well, I know when I've been out at practice, there is no doubt the energy is high, and as he told you, that he's got just another level. But I think your staff might come close to matching that. You've got, just a remarkable group of guys you've pulled together. And what are they going to bring to the program, and what does that look like?
Yeah, a lot of energy, to a fault sometimes. So if you see them out, make sure you introduce yourself to them, because they will, it's just like a wave of energy when they come in a room or when they meet you. What we try to hire is, and I've said this in other interviews, and I think I said it in the interview with Beth, is I try to hire people that I want to do life with, and then figure it out from there. So as long as they work hard, they're great people. They want to serve University of Iowa. They want to serve the other staff members. They want to serve the players that are in the program. If we get that, we can teach the skill set. And so we've got a lot of guys that I want to be around all the time. So if I want to be around them, more than likely y'all want to be around them as well. And they're awesome. Make sure you introduce yourself to them, and we try to get them out to as many events as we possibly can. They'll be at the football games, and I'm sure at some of the tailgates as well.
You guys will be at football tomorrow. I think I heard something about you crowd surfing in the student section. Is that?
There's absolutely no
true?
doubt I will be doing that, as long as you come with.
Oh.
So I'm all in. I don't want to get dropped though. That would be a concern. But if you're there, I'm in.
I think they'll take care of us.
Yeah,
although I think we better get them early. The third quarter might get a little dicey out there. Given everything that's going on in college athletics, I think we probably have to talk about what the differences are for you as you recruit in this environment, but also what are some of the things that haven't changed?
Yeah, so we try to recruit high school kids, and I think the University of Iowa and the state of Iowa lends itself to that. I think you want to form relationships with these kids. You want to get to know them as people and want to cheer for them like that. From a recruiting perspective, what's changed is obviously the money involved in it. Now there's rev share and NIL. And although it's not something that, me personally is overly excited about, it's something that I think we need to embrace if we want to have the type of success that I think we can have at the University of Iowa and specifically to men's basketball. But I don't think you want to get into a habit of always buying players. I think then kids come for the wrong reason. However, money is a thing, right? Money isn't everything, but it is a thing. And so, we found that if we make it right for kids, meaning we don't have to be the highest bidder. As a matter of fact, we weren't the highest bidder for any of the kids that we got. But we do need to have enough resources so that it's like, okay, coach, I'll come for this and I'll come for even half of what somebody else is offering me. But those resources need to be there, which, again, Beth and her staff has done a great job of getting there, but it's still going to take everybody in the state of Iowa and all the fans getting us to that point to where we can really have some success as a program. But we still are relationship driven. That's how we're going to get kids. That's how we're going to keep kids. The way we're going to keep them is you guys making them feel welcome. That's the truth. And the more you see them, the more you make them feel welcome, the more we can keep them and get them to stay. The less you'll essentially have to pay for them as well. So, but it's still about relationships for me.
So we're still a couple weeks away from being able to announce a full Big Ten schedule, although we're starting to get some non-conference states out there. But what are you looking forward to in terms of, competition this year? And, when you think about what a Big Ten schedule's going to look like, how do you prepare? How do you prepare to face that?
We're excited to face it. Especially the Big Ten. I think the better the competition, the better. I think this year's schedule is going to be a little bit unique to what we're hopefully have in the future. What we'd like to schedule is a lot of quad ones, so some of the best teams in the country consistently, and then obviously make sure that you buy a certain amount of home games. And so that's essentially what we want to do. We do want to have a difficult schedule. I think you guys want to see that. I think it would be fun to come to games where you're playing, premier opponents. We tried this year to get a lot of them. Some of them would play us. Most of them would not, even though we have to get 12 new ones. But, we had a lot of guys that won 31 games last year on our roster. So, Big Ten schedule, though, that's what we're fired up for. It's a gauntlet. I can't wait to go on the road to a variety of places, but more importantly, can't wait to come back home and have a better environment at home than we did on the road. So we need to make sure that we get as many fans out there standing and cheering as often as they can. So we're fired up about that.
Yeah, we all know what Carver's like when it's full and when it's rocking, and fully expect that you guys are not going to want to miss the chance to see this team play. When he says we had a hard time scheduling, that's because they think he's going to be too good. When you're undervalued a little bit, it's a little bit easier to get those games on your schedule. So that's a good sign, certainly a good sign for us. Coach, I've seen you out a few times, both when I've been there, but also on social media. You've been over watching a little football practice.
Yes.
Talk to us about that, and I know you and Coach have already developed a pretty strong relationship, and what I know you enjoy being around sports, but you've got other motivation for wanting to be out and see how those things go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with Coach Ferentz, I went to his practice to tell him how to coach. There was a few things on the O-line that they weren't doing correctly, and some quarterback play. No, I'm just kidding. No. I try to go to practices and learn. That's the big thing for me, and just how other successful people run their program. They've had a lot of success. Obviously the women's program's had a lot of success. The soccer program we went and watched the other day has a lot of success. I mean, the wrestling, everybody here, baseball in the spring, everybody here is a successful coach and understands what they're doing. So the more I can learn from what they do, for me is a big deal. So that's why I go to a lot of the practices. To the games, I just love going to games. I just love the atmosphere. I love when there's big crowds. I love to see kids competing. I love to see any type of Big Ten sport that I can see. But practices, that was, I think we went to 3 or 4 practices this year. So I've got the scouting report on them. And I think they're going to be pretty good. So hopefully we'll see tomorrow.
What's your prediction for tomorrow?
Man, it's, see, the coach in me says, do you just say we're going to win by 50? Or do you, play the fence and say it's a process game? So, I'm not coaching their sport, so we're going to win by 50. So I can say that.
We'll tell Coach Ferentz to take that one to the bank. When you think about how you'll use football games and other events, and again, we've seen you all over town, all over the state already, and not just you, your family and your staff. And when you are able to bring in recruits, and we've got a couple big recruiting weekends, I think, coming up. How do you share with them what happens on campus, whether that be a football game or this amazing community as we sit down here in IRL or your downtown Iowa City? What does that component mean to your guys on your team now, but also, in the recruiting process, that you've got this enthusiastic group and lots of things to showcase in our community? Yeah,
obviously we took the job because of the administration in the University of Iowa. But the other reason is you guys and the fans and the fan support and college football games, big-time college football games on the weekend where you can bring recruits in. And just walking around downtown and seeing the amount of fans that truly care about the Iowa Hawkeyes and obviously men's basketball within that. So, this is why you do it, is for fans like y'all. Coming out and supporting, obviously, women's basketball, coming and listening to us talk, and obviously college football weekend. That's why you do it. And then on top of it, trying to make a difference in those kids' lives because of the amount of fans that come out and make them feel welcome.
So I've got a few fun rapid-fire questions to ask you, but is there anything I didn't mention that you want to make sure these guys know about?
We want you to come to games. We want you to, this is the big thing for us, is come to all the games, all the sports. But, there's another school in the state, and they get some fans to games, and we want to make sure that we get more than what they get. It's when you rebuild or build this program up, it takes everybody to do that. And we want you guys to be a part of that. Not just, hey, eventually we're going to have some success, come to the games then. We want you to come to the first one and the second one and the third one and the fourth one. We want you to come to all of them, and we want you as big a part, and you are as big a part as the rebuild or the build as I am, as our players are, because quite frankly, that's actually a proven statistical fact that a crowd and the noise actually it was like a 7-point differential that it does cause. There's actually a study that it's done, and I need to find the study so I can actually share it on social media. But we need you guys out there. We need you guys supporting the team and cheering and being involved.
We don't need the 7 points, but since we're going to win by 50, we'll take the
57 then tomorrow
50,
if we get a good crowd.
57 with the crowd. Okay. That sounds great. All right, so a couple fun facts. So what's your favorite restaurant here in IRL?
Lately it's been Estella's. I bet I've eaten there 35, 40 times. I ate there today. And I get the same thing every time. It's unbelievable. and you got to get the chips with the bowl, and then you can get a burrito on top of that. It's fantastic. So
anybody know what it takes to get that named after somebody? I bet if you win a few games, we can go back and call that the Ben McCollum special. There you go.
Yes,
we got a
NIL for
contact
me.
around here.
Let's go.
There you go. What's the most used app on your phone?
Ooh, probably just my messages. I mean, if that's an app, would you consider that an app? My iMessages, or maybe FaceTime recruits, but I don't use a lot of the social media. You go down rabbit holes that way. So.
What's your favorite Hawkeye men's basketball memory?
Boy, probably. I went to a lot of games when I was a kid, but they're hard to remember. I would say going to camps. I would say going to those Hawkeye camps, especially at Iowa or even the ones in Storm Lake, and then interacting with those players. And I just interacted with. We got a Storm Lake. Are you from Storm Lake? Oh, well, there you go. Even better. So interacting with the coaches and the players, and we just had Jerry Strom up the other day watching a practice, who I loved growing up. He would run all those camps, so that was probably my best memories.
How many yellow ties do you own?
I haven't bought it for this year yet. So we usually, I usually buy one a year. I mean, it's one tie now. I have more clothes, and they are clean. I do my laundry, my wife does, but she does a great job of that. But I actually wash the game clothes, so I got one tie.
I think our student section might have a few. If you need to borrow one at some point, there may be a few. Have you had a Carver cone yet?
I haven't, and I'm disappointed that I haven't. So they need to make one special. My daughter will probably have 4 or 5 every game. So she is very well aware of the ice cream that goes on at Carver Hawkeye Arena.
One pregame ritual that you can't skip?
All of them. I've got about 50. I would say I'm a creature of habit, so I always do the same thing every game, and it's more just so I can eliminate some of the decisions that I have to make. I have to have a coffee and Snickers. Coffee is at the 12-minute mark, so I chug a coffee before, so that's why I'm kind of hyped during the games, and then I always have a Snickers before the game, so both of those.
Did you need more hype?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. But I used to drink about 3 or 4 cups, and I'd start to get headaches, and that was not good. So then I cut myself down to 1 before the game. I would hate to see my blood pressure in the middle of a game.
Well, let's not push that to the limit.
We'll try not to. Yeah. Nope.
All right. What's one fun fact about yourself? Which, by the way, I've heard him ask his team this same question. So one fun fact about yourself that people wouldn't know.
Yeah, I think I've said it before, but obviously I love fishing. Kind of a unique one. I actually have a law enforcement family. My mom was a judge, and my stepdad was a narcotics officer. And so got a law enforcement background. So, I understand the rules. I also understand from a judge, you got to know how to, go into the gray a little bit. And then, no, I'm just kidding. And then my stepdad was more, if you're home at 12 o'clock, you're home at 12 o'clock. 12:01 is not 12 o'clock. And so grew up in a law enforcement family, which is probably a unique fact, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you all are getting a chance just to get to know Ben just a little bit. We are so thrilled to have you, Michelle, the whole family here in Iowa City. And I can promise you this enthusiasm, the level of dedication and commitment he has just does not stop. So we're all now trying to keep up with him. It's going to be an incredibly exciting year. We want you to be along for the ride. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So don't miss your chance to get in early in Carver, and we're going to watch this program continue to grow. So thank you, Ben. Appreciate you being here. Thank all of you.
There you go. Stand up. Golly, let's go. We got to know how to cheer at the games, right?